Could you ever imagine that one day, a top executive from an American defense giant would personally measure the dimensions of a Chinese fighter jet at an airshow with a tape measure? Just like a master tailor customizing a suit, the very thought of it is dramatic enough. Yet at this year's Singapore Airshow, it actually happened. The moment Palmer Luckey, president of US-based Anduril, bent down with intense focus, using a tape measure to meticulously examine and measure the details of the J-35 scale model, the entire narrative shifted. The tape measure in this American executive's hands wasn't merely capturing data, it felt like he was gauging the weight of an entirely new adversary. Let's zoom back to the bustling, competitive halls of the Singapore Airshow. This event is essentially the aviation industry's ultimate showdown, where true capability and hard currency attract the most attention and orders. This time, the Chinese delegation clearly demonstrated both strength and finesse. In the sky, the J-10CE fighter jet, trailing colorful smoke, executed a series of crisp rolls, climbs, and dives, showcasing the agility of Chinese aircraft and the pilot's mastery, drawing gasps from the crowd. Yet this aerial display felt more like an appetizer. The true, main course sat quietly at the exhibition hall's most central, most dazzling position, a full-scale model of the J-35, a fighter jet. Note the term, full-scale. It signifies this isn't a scaled-down, symbolic toy, but a physical ambassador, meticulously replicating every line and angle of the actual aircraft. This meticulously orchestrated display itself conveyed a powerful strategic message: we possess absolute confidence in this product. It embodies the cutting-edge technological achievements of our aviation industry at this stage. We are unafraid of scrutiny under the spotlight, indeed, we welcome it. This composure and self-assurance are themselves manifestations of strength. From its inception, the J-35 fighter was designed with a clear, one aircraft, multiple variants approach, a land-based version for the Air Force, a carrier-based variant for naval aircraft carriers capable of catapult launches, and future export models tailored to diverse customer needs in the international military trade market. Thus, the model prominently displayed here can be viewed as a highly significant, global preview. It signals to potential partners and rivals alike. This fifth-generation stealth fighter is not only operational but poised to become a formidable new contender in the global high-end military market. This is precisely why President Luckey's somewhat old-school tape measure inspection carries significance far beyond its literal act. Think back carefully. When have you ever seen executives from top U.S. defense contractors display such, up-close, interest in another nation's mainstay fighter? They might critique India's Tejas or Europe's Rafale, but they'd hardly pull out a tape measure from their pockets to personally gauge its wingspan or fuselage length. The underlying reason lies in the market for traditional fourth-and-a-half-generation or light fighters. The U.S. holds a firm grip with classics like the F-16V and F-15X, backed by the ultimate trump card, the F-35. This landscape felt secure, but the emergence of the J-35 has directly penetrated America's most dominant and sensitive domain: fifth-generation stealth fighters, particularly stealth carrier-based aircraft tightly integrated with naval air power. This was once a blue ocean market the F-35B sought to monopolize. The pace of the J-35's development has been so rapid it's hard to keep up. The Air Force variant made its official debut in 2024, followed by a grand military parade in 2025 where both the Air Force and naval carrier-based variants flew side by side during the inspection, marking their entry into China's air and naval combat formations. Subsequently, the release of clear video footage showing the J-35 undergoing electromagnetic catapult launches from the Fujian aircraft carrier delivered the final confirmation. China is not only building advanced stealth fighters, but has also mastered the entire complex system, enabling their operations on the most modern electromagnetic catapult carriers. A compelling comparison emerges: the U.S. Navy's Ford-class carriers, which rely on advanced electromagnetic catapult systems, continue to grapple with reliability issues. They have yet to achieve stable, high-intensity integration with the F-35C carrier-based fighter, preventing the formation of full combat capability. On our side, though starting later, we've advanced steadily, from the J-15 to the catapult-capable J-15, and now to the stealth carrier-based J-35, with a clear path and tangible results. According to industry sources and public reports, to meet the massive demands of the Air Force, Navy, and future export markets, Shenyang Aircraft Corporation's new production line for the J-35 is expected to enter mass production by 2026. Meanwhile, US-based Lockheed Martin delivered 191 F-35s last year, demonstrating formidable industrial capacity. It is reasonable to project that once the J-35 supply chain and production cadence fully mature, its annual output surpassing the 100-unit mark is a high-probability outcome. More crucially, and with greater strategic significance, China is no longer fighting on a single front. Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group's J-20 heavy stealth fighter has long passed its production ramp-up phase, entering a virtuous cycle of stable, high-volume production and continuous technological upgrades. This makes China the world's sole nation capable of simultaneously mass-producing two distinct fifth-generation stealth fighters, each with unique roles and weight classes. The J-20 dominates air superiority, while the J-35 excels in multi-role capabilities, particularly maritime operations and export markets. Together, they form a complementary, stealth twin-star system, high-altitude and low-altitude coordination for land-sea synergy. Combined annual production volumes would create a formidable incremental threat, demanding serious attention from any adversary. Thus, the seemingly abrupt tape measure incident at the Singapore Airshow reveals a clear underlying logic. American arms manufacturers, the world's most pragmatic and acutely perceptive fusion of capital and technology, often act with greater candor and authenticity than politicians' statements or military reports. Through this most traditional, even somewhat old-school, method, they signaled heightened vigilance toward the J-35, elevating it from a new development warranting attention to a formidable competitor demanding meticulous technical evaluation and market competitiveness analysis. This level of scrutiny diverges sharply from how other 4.5 generation or European twin-engine fighters are treated, approaching the intensity reserved for assessing the F-35's potential threat. A logical question then surfaces: if they feel pressured by the already deployed fifth-generation fighters like the J-20 and J-35, how might they react to the rumored sixth-generation fighter, reportedly under development by China's major aviation groups in the south and north, with test aircraft possibly already flying? The reality is that the clock in technological competition never waits. As we enter early 2026, where exactly does the U.S. next-generation air dominance program stand with its manned fighter prototypes? The timeline for the first flight remains shrouded in uncertainty, with official statements cautious and vague. In contrast, cross-referenced information from multiple authoritative global aviation watchdogs, analysts, and intelligence circles indicates that China's sixth-generation fighter program has advanced to the stage where multiple test aircraft representing different technical paths are undergoing flight exploration. This generational gap, manifested in the time difference during the prototype flight exploration phase, may carry greater impact than the eventual gap in deployment timelines. It reflects disparities in fundamental research, pre-development capabilities, and engineering translation speed. When America's sixth-generation fighter will truly ascend from blueprints and wind tunnels to the skies, even senior U.S. Air Force officials and major contractors would struggle to provide a clear and confident timeline. As the CEO of a U.S. defense giant bends down to measure a Chinese fighter jet, an era is quietly shifting, from admiration and pursuit to being scrutinized by rivals. Every inch of progress etched along this path will ultimately translate into undeniable weight on a larger chessboard.